A SpaceX program tied to U.S. military satellites, classified communications, and billion-dollar contracts is hiding in plain sight, and most people still think it's just Starlink. It's called Starshield, and its real purpose isn't streaming internet. It's warfighting infrastructure in orbit. Starshield is SpaceX's government-focused line of space systems built on top of Starlink technology. SpaceX publicly described it in late 2022 as a satellite constellation and end-to-end communications capability designed for national security customers with higher security requirements, more tailored payload hosting, and integration with government networks. To understand why this matters, you have to understand what Starlink already is. Thousands of low Earth orbit satellites providing broadband by routing data through space using radio links and, increasingly, laser inter-satellite links. That architecture is fast, hard to disrupt compared to a single big satellite, and can be replaced quickly because SpaceX launches in batches and iterates hardware rapidly. Now imagine that same architecture, but purpose-built for defense and intelligence missions. What makes Starshield different from consumer Starlink isn't a logo, it's the mission set. SpaceX has pitched Starshield as supporting secure communications, remote sensing, and hosted payloads. Hosted payload is the key phrase. Instead of building an entire new spy satellite from scratch, a government customer can place mission hardware on a satellite bus derived from Starlink, leveraging mass production and rapid launch cadence. The money and momentum behind this are real. The U.S. Space Force has been buying Starlink-related services through programs like the Space Systems Command's Commercial Satellite Communications Office. Separately, SpaceX has won contracts under the National Security Space Launch Program, building trust as a launch provider for sensitive payloads. But the clearest window into Starshield's role came through reporting on classified contracting. In 2024, multiple major outlets reported that SpaceX received a classified contract, reported to be worth about $1.8 billion, with the National Reconnaissance Office, the U.S. agency responsible for intelligence satellites. The reported goal: build and operate a new network of satellites for global surveillance and rapid targeting support. The NRO did not publicly confirm details, but the contract reporting aligned with a broader shift, moving intelligence collection from a few exquisite satellites to proliferated constellations that are harder to take down. This is the new logic of space security. Traditional spy satellites are incredibly capable, but they're also few in number, expensive, and predictable in orbit. A large constellation can be more resilient, offer more frequent revisits over any point on Earth, and complicate adversaries' counterspace plans. If one satellite fails, the network continues. Starshield also sits inside a much bigger debate. Who controls critical infrastructure in orbit? SpaceX is a private company, but its systems can become woven into national defense. That creates tension, because commercial speed and secrecy don't always mix well with democratic oversight and international stability. Another reason Starshield draws attention is the Ukraine war, where Starlink terminals became a frontline communications tool. That revealed a reality most people hadn't confronted. A private satellite network can influence battlefield outcomes. It also triggered policy questions about who can authorize service changes, where coverage applies, and what happens when commercial terms collide with military needs. In response to this kind of concern, the U.S. government has pursued more formalized contracting for secure satellite communications, rather than relying on ad hoc arrangements. Technically, why is a low Earth orbit network so attractive for defense? 3 reasons: latency, redundancy, and upgrade speed. Low orbit means shorter signal paths and faster communications. A dense constellation means more satellites overhead, providing many routes for data and more tolerance to jamming or physical loss. And because the satellites are produced like a product line, the technology can be refreshed quickly. Sensors, encryption modules, processors, without waiting a decade for the next generation. But it's not a magic shield. A proliferated constellation is still vulnerable to electronic warfare, cyber intrusion attempts, and anti-satellite threats. The difference is that resilience is built through numbers and rapid replacement, rather than relying on one unbreakable platform. That shift, toward resilience through scale, may be the most important strategic change in space since GPS. There's also an international consequence. If major powers treat low Earth orbit as the next layer of military infrastructure, you can expect more competition, more launches, more counter-space technology, and more pressure on space traffic management. And because these systems are dual-use, meaning the same network can support civilian and military functions, lines blur fast. So when people say SpaceX doesn't want you to know about Starshield, the truth is more subtle. SpaceX has acknowledged Starshield publicly. What's not public are the full capabilities, the exact customers, the payloads, and the operational details, because much of that lives in classified contracting and national security doctrine. And that's the real story. The Internet from Space revolution is also becoming a defense from space revolution, built on the same satellites, the same launch cadence, and the same commercial engine. Follow for more straight, research-based breakdowns of what's changing above our heads. And tell me, should a private company run infrastructure that could shape military power, or should that always stay under direct government ownership?